In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the Rosette Chain Stitch. This time I've come up with my thread on the left side of my line just because I feel like that's an easier direction for me to work this stitch. We're going to start by taking a twisted chain stitch, not along the line, but at 90 degrees to it. So I'm going to come up a short distance from where I came out with my thread, take my stitch out perpendicular to that line, wrap my thread around, and pull it through to get that twisted chain. Okay. Then I'm going to go back up under this first leg of the stitch. So under that first loop that gets formed in that little twist, I'll use a little tension on the thread so that that loop doesn't go anywhere while I'm pulling. And you pull this up and back out to the line. So then we go down a distance away, out to where we want that stitch to be. Thread goes around and under. We pull the thread through and put some tension on it. And then again, come back up underneath that first loop that was formed and form that second little knot. This forms a little scalloped edge with little knots along the edge of it, which would be a very pretty border. And again, down, out to the length of your stitch, wrap the thread over and under, and pull your thread through. Leave a little tension on it, and come back up through this first loop, and then just gently pull the thread through. I did this one in a pearl cotton because I feel like this stitch looks a little nicer in both a thicker thread and a single strand rather than multiple strands of floss. This stitch is a little bit delicate. These knots are just loosely sitting there. If you pull too tight, you can make them misshapen or pull them too far to one side and get this little point of a stitch there. So just be gentle and keep tension on it as you're forming the knots so that the stitches stay where you want them. You can see now, look, I've pulled on it and it has just kind of collapsed in on itself. So be gentle and just make sure you don't pull too tightly so that they stay in these little twisted rosettes along the edge of your line. And that is a rosette stitch. Here's another example of how you can use the rosette chain stitch. Here I've worked two circles, the darker one first and then the inner one. The dark one, the stitches started about here and worked their way out, looping them back up at that point and bringing each rosette stitch out. And then I did the same thing with the inner stitches. This is 6-strand DMC floss, not divided. It's worked very, very loosely to leave those loops, and it kind of gives a chrysanthemum type effect. So this is another option. If you don't want to use it as a border, it might be very effective as a flower. You could try it in different thicknesses and colors of thread and just see how it fits into your projects.